You're listening to Overwatch Contenders Daily, your path to daily news, scores, and insights into the Overwatch League stars of tomorrow. Here's your host, LemonKiwi.
Overwatch fans, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Overwatch Contenders Daily. I'm your host, LemonKiwi. If you're a fan of Contenders Europe, yesterday was just an insane day. Orgless and Hungary reverse swept the British Hurricane past Contenders champions to send them into trials. And with that win from Orgless and Hungary, this meant Young and Beautiful got to clutch the last playoff spot to move on. So I've brought on Young and Beautiful manager JBN and their captain and support player Gustav to tell me about how they felt watching that Hurricane and Orgless and Hungary match, what they thought happened to Hurricane this season. I can't believe they're in trials, and they probably can't believe it either. And to focus on them, how and why did they get 4-0'd by Snakes earlier in the day? How are they preparing for playoffs to improve themselves before then? What is the story behind KSP and Track joining the team? They're new as of 2 weeks. And finally, what are their thoughts about Hammond and playoffs coming up? But before we get into my interview with JBN and Gustav, we got to go over some quick Contenders news. First off, in Europe, Mete, former Bazooka Puppiez off-tank, has joined Snakes, so he played in the Young and Beautiful match, and they 4-0'd Young and Beautiful, so he must be well adjusted. In Pacific news, Nova Esports have benched DPS player East M and flex player Shiki, and they have moved in support player Restia and flex player LT Sum. So Nova have one last match today to play, and they're playing for their playoff/relegation live. So I hope it all works out for them. And in overall or general Overwatch news, Open Division signups are now open, so anyone who's at least level 25 can make a team and join. Registration closed on August 13th at midnight PST, so make sure you get that done soon. And the matches will be taking place on Saturdays and Sundays, so people with jobs and real lives don't have to worry as much. And the first matches will be starting on August 18th. Also, keep an eye on Broadcast GG because we will most likely be casting the playoffs taking place on September 22nd and 23rd. That's it for the news, though. Let's now get into my interview with JBN and Gustav from Young and Beautiful. And I'm joined here with two Young and Beautiful guests, the manager of Young and Beautiful, that's going to be JBN, and the captain and support player of the same team, Gustav. So how's it going, boys? I know yesterday was a bit of a stressful day, but how are you feeling?
I think we can safely say that we are a bit stressed out, but relieved, at least, that we are in the playoffs. I think that's safe to say, at least. But yeah. Yesterday was very stressful, so yeah.
Well, I mean, congratulations on making playoffs officially. I know it was not the cleanest way you wanted to go out, and now kind of relying on Hurricane and Orgless and Hungary's match to see how that goes to determine your fate. But how are you guys feeling like watching the Hurricane match? Were you confident Hurricane were going to win or lose, or what were your predictions on that match?
It was one hell of a roller coaster with emotions. Watching that game, I can tell you that much. I mean, going into the game, I knew it was going to be a close game, but I thought Orgless and Hungary would have the edge because they've been looking good recently, and they've been very creative with the strategies they've been pulling out in scrims. But I mean, I was really surprised, seeing Hurricane going up 2-0, and it was very nervous watching the game, and they improved a lot, so definitely deserved to go into playoffs. It feels kind of bad that they get relegated, but
yeah, being up 2-0, I was like, wow, this is a stomp. And I was like, okay, well, Hurricane, I guess, is signing Orgless and Hungary because this is allowing them to go into playoffs. And I had this weird feeling Orgless were sandbagging just because they'd rather prefer playing Hurricane over you guys. I don't know what the deal was, but Orgless just looked really off for the first two maps, and then all of a sudden there's a reverse sweep. So JBN, were you expecting that?
I gotta be honest, when it was 2-0 to Hurricane, I actually expected them to win the match. Because I had the same feelings, basically, that Orgless was not trying the best in the first two matches, I guess. But then I saw the third match, third map, and then yeah, everything just turned around. So that was kind of nice, but I wasn't expecting it.
It was definitely nice for you guys, at least. I was almost turning off the stream. I'm like, oh god, this interview is going to be tough, because I had expected you guys to move on from the week before's match, how everything went well, but British Hurricane just seem off. Like, they were the ones that knocked you guys out of playoffs last season. They're the ones that won it all, and now they're relegated into trials. So what are you guys' thoughts on what happened to Hurricane this season?
I'm not sure, like, what's going on with Hurricane or what happened with them. I mean, I definitely thought amongst a lot of other people that they were gonna be the favorite going into the season for Group A. But I mean, they did have like some roster changes in the DPS positions, and they keep having this rotation, like swapping between players. So I don't know, maybe that's some sort of like adjustment period that takes longer than what they expected. But yeah, I'm not so sure like why that is. Hard to say.
JBN, any backup thoughts?
Honestly, I have like legit no idea. I think Hurricane is basically in the same state as London Spitfire was, like earlier in the Overwatch League, where they just kept swapping players in and out, but they didn't get better at all. I don't know if this like the synergy is not working out or something, but it shouldn't be since they've been together for so long. I don't know. I mean, I think they might have internal issues, but I honestly have no idea. It's so hard to tell from the outside.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you guys, because I have no idea whatsoever what happened. I mean, there's a couple factors you can throw in there, like Craggy no longer being on the team. It's a new meta this season, and although they were like the quad tank like champions last season and whatnot, but who knows what happened. But let's concentrate on you guys. So what put you guys in this weird position was due to the 4-0 loss to Snakes. So what were the key issues that happened throughout the series that made the scoreline this way?
I feel like there was a lot of things combined. Firstly, I mean, Snakes are, especially on Lijiang, they were looking very strong. Like, we knew what to expect from their comps, like going into the game. We knew they were going to be aggressive, but I feel like we did not punish them, and we just let their DPS like way too much space than we should have. And also another thing is, I guess in our previous scrims, most teams in Europe are playing like the GOAT comp, and I guess Snakes is one of the few teams who really don't play it that much. So it's been like limited like practice playing against their actual comp. So I guess we weren't fully prepared.
So yeah, it was like a lot of double sniper versus double sniper, I felt like, throughout this series. JBN, was there any noticeable issues that you saw?
Basically, I think there's like two factors. So I spoke to the coach of Snakes afterwards, good friend of mine, and he basically told me that Snakes hasn't played this good Overwatch once. And on top of that, we didn't play to our full potential, I think. So I think it was like maybe a bit of both. Like we didn't perform as we usually do, and they just like performed insanely well. Maybe. I think like maybe that's probably the biggest fact, I would say.
So being unprepared and sort of they're playing really well, and you guys having an off day. Gustav, was there other key things that happened, or was it just sort of an off day?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's an off day necessarily, because I feel like our defenses still were like, okay, apart from the Lijiang game, like if you talk about the Kingsrow game, we probably should have held them on the second point outside third, but we lost overtime fight, and they kept with 0 time remaining, and then we basically just like screwed our attack over. I mean, we could have capped faster, I think, but some mistakes happened, so then the second attack happened, and yeah, they just played way better. I guess we choked a little bit, and they just performed way better in the second attack. And then for Skya, I also felt our defense was alright. I think they capped with like 148 left or something like that. And then it was like this.
Yeah, that was a good defense.
And then it was like the technical difficulties. We had like a 10 to 15 minutes pause, I think. So I felt confident going into our attack, but yeah, after that pause, I guess we kind of lost that, and I guess we weren't as focused anymore, and kind of like threw us a little bit off for our attack. And yeah, our attack was really sloppy, that's for sure. I think we just managed to cap point A with like them C9ing in overtime or something like that. It was not the best showing. And then for the fourth map of Rialto, again we had really good hold on the first point, was almost full holding them, but we lost a scrappy long overtime fight, and then after that we couldn't regain our control after they like kept snowballing, and then the third point, and then yeah, we had some issues on our attack once again. Seems to be a recurring trend that we had issues on our attack to finish things off. So yeah.
So it's like these in-game mistakes or these things that just happen that are out of your control, it seems.
I mean, I don't know. It feels like lack of synergy and setup in some areas. It feels like, I mean, obviously we have two kind of new DPS players, so it's been playing for like, I guess, 2 weeks and 1 week now in our team. I mean, they're both playing individually really good, but I mean, it still takes time to adjust to the team and learning how to build team synergy completely with them. And so I guess we are still lacking in some areas, like how to set up everything properly, how you want to do. And yeah, I feel like it's a mix of everything.
Well, that was going to be my next point. You guys brought on 2 new DPS players very recently, like you said, like 2 weeks. So this is already a stressful time on top of everything that's been going on. So what's the story behind Track and KSP, like how you found them and how this kind of came about?
Firstly, Matt had to step down from the team due to personal reasons. So that kind of left us with a hole we needed to fill pretty fast. We only had like, I think it was three days until we had to play against. Who was it we play against? I don't know. Orgless Hungary, I think. Yeah.
Some team.
So we just like the same day we got the news from Matt. We basically just had to scour everyone we knew had potential contenders match. And the Track was one of them. He impressed us a lot, and then we just had to go with him. We didn't have much time.
So you got Track to try out from LNL?
Yeah. He was one of the players who tried out, and then he was basically the guy who performed the best, impressed us the most, and then we went with him, and then the rest is history, I guess.
And then KSP, where did he come from? Oh yeah, Bazooka Puppies, which they were going through a ton of roster changes, so that might have been an easier pickup.
Yeah, basically Did had some issue with his wrist, and that means he couldn't really keep his own performance up to date, I guess you can say. So we kind of made the decision to put him on as a substitute, at least for the time being, until he can fix his wrist. And then I don't know, I don't want to say poached, but we kind of poached because they weren't looking too hard in the group stages, and they had like some problems as well. So he wanted to leave, and we kind of wanted a new Widowmaker player, so it kind of fit in together, at least that way.
There's been just a ton of roster changes with all these teams, like even Bazooka Puppies and a bunch of different teams making these changes like mid-season, and luckily you guys got 2 pretty good players and making playoffs. Well, now you got more time to work on that synergy. So you finished the season 2-3 with 8 and 12 map count, so not the cleanest, but you made playoffs, so that's an accomplishment on its own. But what are some things, maybe besides synergy, that you're looking to work on before playoffs start?
Gustav, do you know?
Sorry,
what do you want to work on?
I got caught off my dog. Sorry. What was the question again?
What are you looking at working on before playoffs start besides synergy?
Oh, I mean, there's gonna be a new patch going into the playoffs. It's gonna be the 1.26 patch. That's the one with the new Symmetra and Hammond, right? So I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of new testing around with, I guess, counter strats, and I guess some strats with the new heroes coming in, and there was some buffs to the DPS heroes like Soldier and McCree and stuff, and some changes to support as well. So I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of testing around, like seeing what's gonna be the new meta, I guess. And I don't even think at the moment you can play Hammond in competitive, so it's really difficult to like figure out how you're supposed to play him outside of scrims. And so far we haven't even tried him in scrims because we've been playing on OPR, so we haven't even played on the live server in scrims yet with him. So I guess that's gonna be from tomorrow going forward.
So we're working on different strategies with the new heroes, or at least the new changed heroes coming in, including Hammond, which I agree is kind of a question mark. And I've asked a few players, like, they don't really know how Hammond's going to fit. So JBN, do you know anything they could work on, or are you agreeing that they should focus on the Hammond patch coming in?
I at least know that like the teams outside of contenders play a lot of dive with Hammond currently, and I think that's definitely something we're gonna look into. But as Gustav said, basically the next week or so we just have to like use all our time on hero crafting, basically like come up with some legitimate strats, some maps as well. So all I can say is that playoff is gonna be a mess, I think, because every single team is gonna be in the same boat as us. So no one really knows what is supposed to go on and all that. So anything can happen in playoffs, I would say.
Anything can happen, and everyone's going to be just as confused and to how to use Hammond as you guys are. But so if the same trend follows as last season, your first playoff match should be against Team Gigantti or maybe CIS Hope, depending on who wins their match. They're actually playing today to decide the first seeds. So which team would you guys rather play, and what would be the strengths and weaknesses of that team?
Well, that's a tough one, in my opinion. I feel like both of them are looking very strong.
They're both really good.
Feels like, I guess, both of them usually play the GOAT comp or more tank-centric comps. And I feel, though, that Gigantti feels stronger. They have like a structure there in Org, and they have been looking the strongest so far. Not taking anything away from CIS Hope, they are also obviously looking really strong as well. But if I have to decide between them, I would probably prefer to go with CIS Hope.
Because they have a one game loss this season versus undefeated, maybe? Or is there any reasons?
I mean, we have scrimmed like both of them quite a bit. Now it's Gigantti feels stronger than CIS Hope. At least from my experience and looking at Gigantti, they're looking very scary right now. So I think Gigantti alongside Angry Titans are looking the strongest right now in the playoffs. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong and CIS Hope are gonna go ahead and 4-0 Gigantti today, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know during their match who's gonna end up taking it. That's why I wasn't sure who to say who you guys were going to go against in the quarterfinals, because CIS Hope also looked pretty good this season. JBN, who do you think is the stronger team here?
I think Gigantti is definitely stronger. I would say they have better players in every role besides the DPS, really. I think that CIS Hope's DPS players are probably one of the, if not the best in contenders right now. They are really, really good. So I think it all really depends on what the meta is gonna be. If they keep playing tanks, I'm really scared of Gigantti. Or if like goes over to some kind of double sniper or whatever, I'm probably more scared of CIS Hope. So overall, I would prefer playing against CIS Hope. But yeah, I don't know, man. It depends on the meta, I would say.
So if you had to go against Team Gigantti, who seems to be like the stronger team that might win today's match, we'll have to see. I think it's going on in a couple hours. But what are some, you guys said they play tankier comps, so what are their possible weaknesses? Is it that, well, you can counter these tank comps, or where are they most weak?
I mean, there are like the anti-GOAT comp with a Fire Hanzo that a lot of teams are trying to play, and I think unless you are countering them or like mirror matching them with another GOAT comp, I think that's your best option. Either like Fire Hanzo or you have a Junkrat with a Hanzo. But I guess those are your best options to play against it, to force them to swap at least, and then, well, according to what they are going for, you can swap around, but that's, I guess, your best chance of beating their comp.
JBN, any thoughts on weaknesses of Gigantti?
As I said before, it depends on the meta, I would say. But if they play tanks, we can only basically just go anti-tank, I guess. I don't honestly, I don't really know right now because this can be so different. So we don't really have that much an idea of what is going to go on, so to speak. So I don't know. Maybe if they play tanks, go with some like Farah, so it works pretty well for us at least. That's probably our best shot, I would say.
Well, looks like you guys still have lots of team studying to do and preparations for playoffs to get ready, and I'm really excited to see Hammond and the whole patch come into play and how teams are going to adapt to it, including Young and Beautiful. So really thank you guys for coming on for this interview, and really good luck in playoffs, whoever you get to face in the quarterfinals.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. That was fun.
All right, well, this was Overwatch Contenders Daily. I'm LemonKiwi. This was Gustav and JBN from Young and Beautiful, and we're going to see you guys next week.